Welcome back to Spotlight over the city, you guys. And guess what? We got us a +1 in the building. And man, this guy right here is nothing short of amazing. His accolades are crazy. I'm gonna let Wife give you a few. You got a few? We can't give you all. I'm gonna let him give them all. Cause this young man has worked with a lot of people, and he's still doing some amazing things today.
Yes, he
So,
is.
what you know about Big 50? What y'all know about that?
We're going to talk about all of that stuff. I like to sum this young man up as simply by saying like a hip hop mogul, a hip hop visionary, trailblazer, all of those types of things that you can think of, because he didn't just get started in this work. He been working and working and working for a very long time, y'all. And when you hear some of the things that's been going on, and how 2021 popped off for him and what he has coming up in the future, you'll understand exactly why we call him all of these amazing things. So you all, welcome to our Spotlight family, the one and only Terk Stevens!
Yeah.
For a second, I was sitting like, who are they talking about?
Yeah,
You!
About you, brother.
I saw on your thing that you call yourself the most known unknown person.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Just staying behind the scenes and just being about the work. And first and foremost, I got to give a shout out to Craze, Jazz, Silver, and Doobie, the other members of my group, and Whistle. You know, and rest in peace to Kango Kid from UTFO. That's where it all started. You know, out of Brooklyn, New York.
So that's where you first started in the music industry.
Right.
So for those that's not old like myself that don't know who Whistle is, let's take them back a little bit and tell them. One of the first groups that went from
Whistle is the first hip hop group to ever transition completely from rappers to R&B. You know, Whistle did that, and Kango was very instrumental in that, and it's just very, very true. And I'm not a rapper. I can only rap Christmas presents. That's it. but I'm a singer, and I was brought into the group during the time when Johnny Gill joined New Edition, and Whistle was making a transition from hip hop. And I thank Jazz and Doobie and Silver and Kerry Craze for seeing that talent in me. It's interesting because I was the road manager initially, and the same with Silver in my group. Silver was UTFO's road manager, and then he became a member of the group.
Wow. So
that's, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so your first start, like one of the questions that came in for you from one of our viewers is ask him, you know, what was his first break into that lane? Like, what was your first type of thing into the entertainment lane? What was it?
That first break.
Interesting is that it was, I always had a desire to sing. I knew I could sing, but just never sang in public. So I was at the University of Maryland, College Park. I went to Friendly High School in Fort Washington. So we were at a track meet, and there was a guy, Raymond Blassingame, at Crossland High School, and he was singing. And I heard him. I'm like, I could take this dude. I was whispering, so I could take this dude. My boy Bob, and Bob was like, get him, Turk, get him. And I'm like, what? He put me on the spot, and the reaction was amazing, right? The reaction from the girls, I was like, oh, this is really real, because you see it on TV, you see it somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, this is really real. So from that, I started singing. It was at Bowie State, man, where I went to Bowie State, and it was a guy named Vincent Stovall who heard about me singing. And true story, man, I was singing in the shower, and somebody heard me and said, yo, that dude can sing. And he came up to me and said, I want you to do this talent show. And I did a talent show, and that was it. From there, that was it. And
that is crazy.
Wow.
And so you come a long way, because that group started way back in the day. So fast forward, what are some of the artists that you had a chance to work with in the industry?
Well, at that time, you know, we worked with everybody. I mean, you know, we were R&B was just really, really big at the time, and you know, we had people that really wanted to work with us, like Gerald Levert, that wanted to write songs with us, and our good friends Troop, and you know, Kango was really instrumental at being the songwriter and the producer initially. But after that, I transitioned after the group had broke up. I had a desire, and that's the thing, you got to follow your desire. I had a desire to want to get into film and TV.
Yeah.
And at the time, the only person that was really strong in that arena was Spike Lee. And a buddy of mine, Juan Scott. I lived in Southview, and Juan Scott was a good friend of mine who was a writer, and we were just sitting around talking about writing. And out of nowhere, I got a phone call from a guy named Monty Ross, and Monty went to Morehouse and Clark with Spike, and they started 40 Acres and Film Work. For those budding up and coming filmmakers, they were the iconic figures at that time, like Tyler Perry is today.
Right.
You know.
Wow.
And being Monty came and took me under his wings. That's what really, really kind of gave me the opportunity to sit back, and it's very important because everybody want to have this braggadocio attitude about I want to do this, I want to be out front. I kept my mouth shut for years and just sat and watched everything. Everything. I was at 40 Acres with Monty, and I watched everything, and I was a tutor. Him and another brother, Scott Sillers, and what I'm involved and engaged in now is really teaching people about entertainment business and understanding the business of the entertainment. And so from that, I started, producing independent films. I went to Michigan State. I was working at the university there. When I came back here, I got to give it to Chuck West. All praise to Chuck West, man, from Octech. Chuck came to me one day and was like, Terk, this is what we should be doing together collectively. And we just started pumping these projects out, man. Five movies in, man. From the first one, from Couples Night.
So wait, let's talk about that. Let's give them the
5
rundown.
movies in, wow.
So I didn't mention this to you guys on air. I mentioned it off air. But this young man, Terk, is one of the most humble people that I've ever met. So you don't get a lot out of him. This is the most I've gotten. But what I'm telling you is he's humble because a lot of people that's talking ain't working, and a lot of people that's working ain't talking. So he ain't talking. And so that means he working. And so, not to cut you off, but you say 5 films, right? We don't take that lightly. So let's talk about these 5 films and how you transitioned from music into film.
Well, the transition started was when the group ended. Jazz was working with a group called Group Home, and Kerry was in Miami producing, Silva was producing, and Doobie was doing other things as well. Doobie started, as an athlete, he was coaching. My partner Tricky, I had to give it to Tricky. Ron Tricky Montgomery, Tricky Business. He's murdering the game right now as a manager. And I was looking to do a solo project, and Tricky was, was like, man, how's it coming? And I just hated the music that was being presented to me. And we started working together. Tricky moved to Atlanta. He was at Morgan. He moved to Atlanta. And back in like '93, just building a studio and creating a studio, we started working with different people. I had transitioned with relationships. With me, I just happened to foster phenomenal relationships with a lot of people who trusted me. And because of me being in the entertainment industry, I was representing talent. I was a go-to guy. When people wasn't making money, I was the dude that really started bringing Hollywood into the club scene. Let's be clear about that.
I got you. Say it again for the people who don't know.
Bringing Hollywood, and back in the day, there was really, just a lot of artists that made appearances in clubs. And when I was at Howard, we did a party called, it was a New Jack City party, and my man was Alan Payne at the time. He played G Money, and me and the guy Frank from Oakland, he was at Howard at the time. We did this big New Jack City party, and I'll never forget, it was crazy. And we had Wesley, we brought everybody in, and I was like, I just wanted to do these movies. Like when movies came out, I had friends that were actors, and that's how I got it. It was AP, Alan Payne, that kind of got me into it. And Al took off, so I just started doing all these movie parties at clubs, and that's kind of what broke me in.
Okay.
To the whole Hollywood
So
scene.
you created your own lane, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
That's what it was. And because I didn't really want anything, I made sure that everybody ate. That's the key. Like people, the message that you always get is about greed is good, and you got to make sure that you handle your business. You will never find anyone that will tell you anything negative about me. I make sure that business. When I close my conversations with people on the phone, I'm like, great. Let's do good business and let's make money. And you sometimes have to take a loss in order to make sure that the people that you're doing business with is doing business.
Yeah.
Because there's a contract that you have with that person. If I hired you to do a job and I'm not making a profit, you can't come to me and do some nigga business and be like, well, we ain't make that money to do it.
Exactly.
No,
We got contract.
That's not your problem.
That's right.
As an artist, as a talent, it's not your problem. Your problem is you delivered. You came. If I didn't do what I was supposed to do to bring in the numbers, it's my responsibility. And everybody will tell you that Terk handles his business. And I pride myself on being able to say that all my calls get returned.
That's because you do good business.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you call somebody and you're like, yeah, they're gonna get back to me in a minute, and they're gonna call you back.
Right.
And all my calls get returned because I make sure I take care of the business and I understand the power of responsibility. Thanks to Ivan Fitzgerald Hall, he always taught me from the beginning. Ivan Hall was like, look, you must handle your business and be responsible.
I think that's a wonderful thing to display and relate to these younger people in the industry. A lot of times people, what we call hit a lick. They think business is a hustle. So in other words, they get the most and maximize one opportunity, right? They don't do good business, they just do business. And they take one opportunity and they think that's $1 million shot. You can take that one shot, but then what, right? If you do good business, what happens? Your phone calls get returned. You get the what we call a reputation because it's going to precede you either way. So that way you get a reputation to make people say, he's a good, solid dude, let me call him back.
I tell people all the time, I am a referral-based business. I don't have business cards. My phone constantly rings. It just rings. And you know, I can get a call from someone. And it's interesting because it transitioned. Like, I was always a person of influence. And even in 91, was it 91 when Clinton was running, you know, I got a call to help out the Clinton campaign. And I was this kid, because I love politics. And I was this young person who just really, really enjoyed being around the political scene. But because I had influence, I got a phone call, and I never forget, I met Ron Brown, and when Bill Clinton was running, I got heavily involved in politics. And because people, when they know you, your work will speak for itself.
That's right.
And that's the thing that's very, very important that people have to understand is like, it's not about you winning, it's about you doing a good job. That's what makes you a winner.
That's right.
And people will see it. People will see it. And the first thing a person will do is they will return to you when you do good business.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
And so with that being said, the 5 films, right? Let's talk about the Big 50 joint.
Yeah, you love Big 50.
Yeah, so I didn't see that coming because I didn't know you was behind that. How did that come about?
Well, again, I give it to Chuck, man. You know, Chuck West, man. You know, Chuck would, like Allen Iverson said something that was really important, man, at his Hall of Fame speech. He was like, man, this man, like Michael Jordan, he had the vision. Like, you know, Chuck had the vision. Chuck was like, Terk, this is what we're gonna do, and I'm like, cool. Now we both play a role. You know, and all the things I do from the show I was doing in South Africa. You know, I had a TV show with my guy Samad called Top Actor, and that was pretty much Top Actor is a show like Tyra Banks. You know, it's a competitive reality show. And Tyra Banks had American Next Top Model. We created Top Actor, and we wanted to be able to find actors and give actors that opportunity. From that, you know, to plays, to everything I've done, I've been involved in. Is that, you know, we sit down and we have a comprehensive plan. So Chuck was like, man, we want to do these films. And from that, man, you know, from the first one, from Couples Night, and then after Couples Night was Angrily Ever After. After Angrily Ever After, my favorite one is Twas the Chaos Before Christmas with Sherry Shepherd and Affion Crockett. It's hilarious. Yep. And then after that, we had the Christmas Lottery, and then Big 50 came about.
Big 50.
That
was the last project. Yeah.
Right, that was the last project. And then now, again, the phone rings. I got a phone call from Tressa Smallwood. And Tress was like, yo, Terk, you know, this is what I want to do. I want to go to the next level. I got a very special project that I know is going to elevate. And I was like, when she shared the project, I'm like, bet. Okay, cool. I'm down. I want to do it. I want to produce that with you. And then I called my boy. My best friend is an actor. His name is Morris Chestnut. And I called Morris and I said, yo, Mo, I got this project. You need to do this project. And he was like, why do I need to do that project? I said, because your family's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, your parents.
Oh, yeah?
His parents are from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he was like, yeah, you're right.
That's an easy sell. So, first of all, I'm president of Black Wall Street DMV. So, it's near and dear to my heart. Black Wall Street is a big, big deal. But to be portraying this movie and doing this movie is a really huge deal. So, you see how humble he is. He said, yeah, I called Mo. He called Morris Chestnut. He's like, yeah, I called Mo. He said, I can't just call Mo now, Terk. And so this is the kind of stuff I'm saying. You have set yourself up, such a solid individual that you set yourself up for these positions to come to you favorably. That's called favor. And so I love it. Once again, Tressa, shout out to Tressa. When is that film going to be available?
We start production on that in May.
In May.
We do our weekly calls. I think the schedules, and Monty, if you want to send us something, Christina, our assistant, you know, you on the chat, what's the dates?
Yeah.
It's the second week in May that we start on that.
Gotcha.
And there's a complete campaign that we're wrapping around it. I love it. It is a contemporary story that we're doing. It derives from the massacre of Wall Street. And, you know, it's a love story. And it talks about, you know, there's a sister, you know, Nadine is the lead character.
Okay.
She's an attorney, a young black woman who is being confronted with conflicts in the workforce and with uncovering things from the massacre. So Bill Duke is our director. You know,
yeah.
I brought Bill Duke to the table. I'm very
excited. You know you messed up, right?
Yeah.
You know you messed up. First you bought the bottle of beer, 11 o'clock. Then, that's the one thing he's famous for. That right there, right?
You know, and so I'm very excited. But what I'm really, really excited about with my company, Terk Entertainment Group, is that you know, what we do is we create content, right? That's for African American and transatlantic African.
I read that.
You know, so what's important for me is that I love South Africa. I love the continent. I do a lot of work over there. I've been to Ghana, I've been to Nigeria, and London, the UK, and our people are worldwide, and we communicate, all the same. And so being able to create that kind of content and being able to provide strong entertainment for our diaspora around the world is very, very important to me, and not being segmented just here. So that's what my company does, the Terk Entertainment Group, and we created this business of entertainment. And this business of entertainment is a platform that we will be teaching people about the entertainment industry.
Love it.
From ground zero.
From ground zero. So,
Love it.
You'll have different instructors and professors, so my boy Chris Spencer will be teaching about comedy, Morris will be teaching about acting, Anthony will be teaching about creating content, Anthony Anderson, so all these people that we have in our relationship.
You done hooked up with Anthony
Anthony and I went to
Anderson.
Howard together. Me and Anthony went to Howard together. Taraji and I, we known each other before. Taraji was even
Shout out to the
Wow.
home team,
Home
man.
team.
Taraji, shout out to definitely the home
so,
team.
and then my boy Tricky, so we all is collective. I'm sharing my relationships because we all love and enjoy giving back.
Yeah.
And part of that is with this business of entertainment, that platform is really very, very informative. So you'll be hearing about that pretty soon.
Well, definitely keep us posted, because we'll post it to our site and
Yeah,
definitely come on here and talk about it, and we'll have you come back and talk about it
Yep.
again. Your family, you already know that. So
Thank you.
I'm super proud of you, though, man, because your humility is one thing, but your work ethic is a whole nother level. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much for what you're doing. You're opening up doors for other cats as well, and that's a big deal for me. And I love what you're doing on the Africa situation, because that's our real resources, and we can't leave that out. We gotta stay linked in.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you think during the '80s, man, and the '90s, man, when the Caribbean, I'm Caribbean descent. My family's from Barbados, and there was a big movement in reggae, reggae music and reggaeton, and now Afro beats is just so strong. And
I didn't even know that.
Oh my God, man, that
know
Kid Wiz, man,
That
big
new
record.
song, you know my
man,
body.
Oh,
There's
he's
more
Boom,
than
killing
boom,
it. That's
boom.
But
okay.
there's more than that. There's more than that. And when people have this misperception about the continent, like I can't believe in 2021 that people still believe that Africans are living in huts. No, that ain't true.
Right, but that's what they display a lot of.
Well, no, that's not true. What we do is we have these images that we have ingrained in us for many, many years.
Mhm.
The wealth of Africa is very, very, very prevalent everywhere you go, everywhere you look. You can see it looks just like, man, I went to Durban when we had the first season, and when I first went to Durban, South Africa, it was like Miami Beach.
Yeah?
It as a matter of fact, is what they call cheating in film. They cheat for Miami in Durban. It looks exactly like Miami Beach, and it's like the actual architecture, the structure, the streets. It looks just like Miami. You go to Kenya and other places, it is incredible. It's gorgeous.
Yeah?
It's gorgeous.
So I haven't
Wow.
been. That's the unfortunate part. I haven't been, but I
got to
definitely
go.
want to go.
I
It's
spent
on
a
our
lot of
list.
time. I spent a lot of time on the continent, man. I
Yeah.
love my passport has South Africa all over. Bro.
That's a beautiful thing in itself.
Yeah, it's on our bucket list.
It's been on mine, but like I say, what's your favorite part?
Mine.
Yeah.
Oh man, Joburg, South Africa all day. Every
South
day.
Africa?
South Africa is my
Johannesburg,
favorite
yeah.
country in the world. Right
Yeah?
now. The
Yeah.
food is incredible, bro, man. The country, man. Shout out to Azania Moende. Like that's my producer partner over there.
Okay.
And they put in the work. Like Azania and her team, man. The content that they create, man, over there. Like we use Urban Brew Studios over there.
Yeah?
Yeah, there's like 4 sound stages.
Wow.
Oh,
4
man.
sound stages over there.
Wow.
They shoot a lot of films over there, man. A lot of
Who
films
knew?
Wow.
over in South Africa.
So is it cheaper to film there?
Yes, the dollar goes strong over there. And even in Nigeria, like so at one time it was what they call Bollywood, and Bollywood is India. India was the largest creators of films in the world, more than America. Yes, India created more films than any other country in the world, more than Hollywood.
Wow.
Wow.
Now Nigeria has passed that, so it's called Nollywood. Nigeria has surpassed that.
I didn't
now,
know that.
Yeah, they create. So we create, but we have set a standard, in terms of Hollywood and what it looks like now. The UK, they putting in work. Them British actors, it's something in the water in the UK.
Mhm.
Yeah. Those actors over there, what they're teaching in that method, in that tutorial, man, they coming over here killing the game. There's a lot of actors you see right now that are in films that you had no idea that they were British. Black
Wow.
British.
Yeah. So because you couldn't take the accent doesn't come through in the film.
Well, no, it's because they studied American culture so much that they can pick up an American accent. Like people didn't know that Idris was British. People didn't know that.
I didn't know that for a long.
Yeah.
All I knew was String a Bell.
Talked about that
People didn't know that.
because when he was in The Wire, that never came through.
Yeah.
Like we didn't see that.
Oh my God! I mean, there's so many. There's Idris Damsu, the kid from Snowfall,
Right.
British.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was the other brother name that did Black Panther? There's
They
so many
coming
of them.
through, yeah.
Yeah, they all are. They all
Yeah.
are.
Wow. So Terk, what is something that you want the viewers and listeners and the people who love and support you to walk away with after today before we let you go?
What I want them to walk away from is knowing that you must be a student of your passion. You must understand all aspects of your business. What happens is that social media has given us a falsehood to believe that just because you have likes and you have views, because somebody saw something doesn't resonate in business. It doesn't mean that you're successful. If 1 million people see something, that doesn't mean 1 million people are going to buy the product. That doesn't mean 1 million people are going to really believe in you. I never forget Ryan Davis, man, the comedian, was like, he talks about these women who are out here.
I listened to him
Ryan
too.
Davis was like, you got 1 million brothers, man, that liked, your pictures because of titties and ass. He says, no, they just like your titties and they like your ass. They don't like you.
Right.
They don't like you, and it's so funny. So what we have is we have a false belief that because people view you and see you, that they believe in you and that they like you. No, that is not true. So people, you can never cheat real knowledge. You can never cheat real good ethical work. You can never cheat it. I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, you can be success. You can have success without talent, but it is impossible to be successful and not have talent. I'm gonna say it again. You can have success and not have talent, but it is impossible to be successful and not have talent. And that is the repetition, to do it over and over again. That is talent. You can say whatever you want about Cardi B. You can say whatever you want about some of these people, but the consistency demonstrates that there is a talent there. And that lucky shot, that perfect game, that perfect season, and you don't hear anything else, it goes to show you that that one opportunity, it opened up an opportunity for you to get that win.
And I'm glad you used Cardi B because that was a big subject with us when she first came out. A lot of the homies was in my ear. She a one-hit wonder. They writing her song. She ain't gonna be able to do it again. That was years ago.
Yeah.
This young lady's charted top the charts since then and never stopped charting though. And so it's the work ethic, like you said. She's working.
Yeah, and
she's working.
And you said that I don't really say much about myself. I'm gonna say this. People always wonder, and they just always say, "What does Terk do?" Like, it ain't your business unless we're doing business.
Right.
But the key that's important is that I tell people all the time is that I am really about the service to man. That's what and I learned how to monetize that. So when you reach out to me, that's great. Be prepared to do good business. Like, if we have a relationship, that's fine. But I want to make sure and ensure that we are preparing ourselves to do good work. You can reach me on my social media, Tarek Stevens, because my real name is Tarek, by the way.
Okay.
So Terek Stevens, my IG, and Terk Entertainment Group, and Terk is spelled Terk.
Terk, not
Okay.
TU, Terk.
And just we're launching this business of entertainment, and look out for that. We'll be launching that within the next 30 days. And I want to make sure that that you look. I sound like a pastor. I want to make sure that you stay plugged in.
Yeah, but you have to though. You do.
Make sure that you get the information.
Yep, but that's
Yes.
important though, and you're doing something really important for the industry too,
Yes.
and so that's a big deal. So make sure you follow him. We'll put it up on our page as well, and so we thank you for coming and sharing this platform, man. We appreciate you a lot, and we're proud.
We
We're proud.
consider you family, so anytime
for
our
sure.
platform can be of use. So if you want to talk, some people be like, you need to go on Spotlight Over City. The answer is yes.
We definitely welcome it all,
We
but we
welcome-
welcome you.
I've been trying to get in here for a minute.
No.
No, we've been
missing. Yeah, we've been going back and
I
forth.
was like, I used to hit y'all up like, when y'all gonna bring me on? Because I'm
Wait.
a fan of the show.
Well, it's a
Yeah,
wrap
we
now. Not
finally
only
got
you
it.
it's a blessing for you to be on, and we
Yes.
definitely gonna have you back because I already know you're doing some big things, and I'm gonna sneak on a thing, get to Africa with you, and all that kind of stuff. So thank you.